I had arrived home about 15 minutes ago and was surprised that my wife Molly was not home yet. She had been working a few hours later several days per week, but still usually beat me home and had dinner started by the time I came in the door. I grabbed a beer and was going to call her about dinner plans when she beat me to the punch and my cell phone rang. "Hello, darling, are you still at work?" I inquired. "Yes, Jack, I'm still here, but we are leaving now. I have a surprise for you that I think you're going to like. At least I hope you do. I know I'm going to like it. We need to talk when I get home, so please make sure you are around and ready for a conversation when I get there. I'll be home in 20 minutes. "Should I start dinner or run out and pick something up?" I asked. "No, Jack. We won't have time for that tonight. At least not until later. But Jack, just remember that I love you and only you and I can't wait to see you." "I love you too, and I'll be waiting for you with open arms." 20 minutes later, my wife Molly walked in, and I thought right off the bat that she looked a bit rumpled, with wrinkled clothes, her stockings were gone, and her makeup and hair were a bit messed up. "Wow, you must have had a rough day, Molly. You look kind of disheveled." "What's up?" Molly quickly moved to me and put her arms around me and looked up into my eyes as she whispered, "Jack, you know that I love you so much, and I know that you love me and would do anything for me. Do you agree?" "Sure, Molly. I might not kill for you, but I would do just about anything else. So, what's bringing this conversation up? I can't wait to hear what predicament you've gotten into this time." "It's nothing like that, Jack. Just let me talk, and when I am done, you can ask me questions. You know how you pretty much let me decide almost all of our decisions, and you are so nice to me and loving that you let me do almost anything that I want." "Well, I was telling my boss Ralph about our relationship over the last few weeks, and he had a few ideas that seemed to make sense to me. He had me read a few stories about submissive men who like to be dominated by their women and how this really helps make their relationship work. I have to admit, Jack, the stories were very good and really got my fantasies going over the last few weeks. Molly, yes, I am nice to you and let you have your way about any of the decisions that aren't life-altering or major. But if you remember, I decided on the house we would buy, the cars we would buy, how we invest our money, and the major financial decisions. But I admit, I love letting you make the decisions on the things that are important to you that make you happy, like vacations, what movies to see, what restaurant to go to, even what clothes I should wear. But I don't think that makes me submissive, just in love with you and wanting you to be happy. My dad told me the secret to a happy and stress-free marriage is to not sweat the small stuff. Then he reminded me that almost everything is small stuff and life should be lived as positively and happily as possible. Okay, Jack, but I still think my boss was right when I compare you to him. He is domineering, powerful, and takes what he wants. People cower to his strong personality, and they do what he decides, not the other way around. He explained to me that he is an alpha male, dominant, and at the top of the pecking order, while people like you, although they are loving and nice, are more beta males and like to be dominated and submissive. They may not know it yet, but it's there waiting to come out. Well, I think that is some third-degree pop psychology nonsense, and I totally disagree. But where are you headed with this? When I said that, I saw some guilt, and the confidence that had been there faded a bit. Jack, my boss has told me that he is going to be intimate with me in a way I've never experienced before. He is well endowed and often brags about his skills. Over the past few weeks, after hours in his office, he had me feel it occasionally, and I have to admit it was quite prominent and responsive as I explored it. I know it wasn't right, and I probably crossed the line that a young married wife should avoid, but it really excited me, and I've been having fantasies about him the last few weeks, as he had been seducing me at the office. He explained to me that you are probably going to really enjoy me being intimate with him, that you, being submissive, might even want to watch. And if not that, you and I will have the most incredible intimacy of our lives when you reclaim me after I have a session with him. I looked at her, waiting for the punchline to come out, but suddenly realized she was serious and that she was telling me she really had been feeling him up and who knows what else. "What the heck, Molly, you have to be kidding. How would you ever think I would put up with that?" "Jack, I know you love me, and I know you want me to be happy. I'm convinced that this will bring our love and our intimate life to a whole new level." "Molly, are you telling me that you've been intimate with your boss?" "What the heck have you been doing, Molly?" I asked angrily. "Oh no, Jack, I would never cheat on you." "Nonsense, you already have. You've been having intimate conversations with Ralph, and you've already told me that you felt his private parts. Has he been intimate with you?" I asked. She cast her eyes down and couldn't look me in the eye as she said, "No, Jack, not yet. He did touch me intimately in the car on the drive over here, and he is waiting in the driveway for us to have this conversation, and then he is coming up to our bedroom and we are going to be intimate. You can watch if you want. Ralph would like that. But if not, when we are done, you can come up and I will let you do anything and everything to me that you ever might have fantasized about." "You're kidding me. He is outside right now and you let him touch you and you are believing his nonsense. The thought of me being with you after you have been with him makes me want to vomit. And what happens now, Molly, if I say no and ask you to send him away?" Molly now had a look of panic. I could tell she wasn't ready for this response, so now she evidently was going to try a more assertive approach, probably having been coached by her slime bag boss. "Jack, you love me and I want this. You always let me have my way and I've decided this will be good for us. We will at least try this once, although I am sure it will be so good that we will likely want to continue. Now I'm going up and making myself beautiful for him and for you. You can let him in and then wait for us to finish. I know you will want this for me, because you love me, and I know this will be so good for us." "Well, Molly, I can see where your head is at and where our marriage and vows are apparently at. So you go ahead and get ready, and I'll just go out and talk briefly to your friend," I shouted. "Jack, he isn't my friend. This is just raw, powerful, domineering time. I will always only love you and be yours forever, and you'll be mine." With that, Molly came to hug and kiss me, but I pushed her away and saw the surprise and hurt in her eyes. "Well, don't let me hold you up, Molly. I can see that you are doing this no matter what I say. If not now, then soon, maybe without even telling me. Regardless, you've actually already cheated on me, so go ahead upstairs and get yourself ready." Her look of guilt and shock at my statement made her pause, but she turned to walk away. On the stairway, she turned and said, "You'll see Jack. This will be epic." "Yes, Molly, it is going to be epic. You have that right." After she climbed the stairs, I went into her purse and took out her car keys, her house keys, and her phone. From her wallet, I took out our joint credit card, and I then went into the kitchen and grabbed a tea towel from the linen drawer and a few zip ties from the utility drawer. I also grabbed a very large meat carver from the knife drawer and went out to meet Ralph. Ralph was sitting in his car in the driver's seat, reading his phone, and when I came out, he lowered his driver's window and said, "Well, little Jack, I guess your wife told you the score? Don't worry, I'll still let her have time with you, at least for now, until she is fully under my power. You'll enjoy—" I never let him finish his last statement. I put my whole body into the angriest, most vicious left hook I could muster and hit him square in the nose. The satisfying crunch of bones and the gush of blood confirmed that I had done some damage. As the blood gushed from his face onto his Brooks Brothers suit and the seat of his Mercedes, I handed him the tea towel and said, "Here, you might want this, Ralphie." He quickly brought it up to his nose, and as he did, I wrapped a zip tie around his left wrist, pulled it up and looped it around the bar for his head restraint, and pulled the zip tie tight. I then opened the car door and gave him another left hook, although this one went straight to his private area. He bent forward in his seat, getting into as much of a curled-up ball as he could with his left wrist zip-tied to the headrest, but he managed to lean forward with his right hand, grabbing the steering wheel as he cried out in pain. I immediately seized the opportunity to zip-tie his right hand to the steering wheel. I leaned over by his face and said, "So is the big, strong, dominant alpha male having an issue asserting himself? What a pathetic scumbag. You analyzed me and this entire situation as poorly as possible, and you are going to learn the error of your ways. Unfortunately for you, Molly is expecting something epic. So what do you say? Let's give it to her." I walked over to the front yard and picked up the water hose that was lying in the grass. It had the steel water spray nozzle attached, perfect for what I had in mind. I walked back to the side of the car, swinging the hose next to my body like you would swing a lasso or a sling, and after building up an acceptable amount of speed and momentum, I let it slam into the passenger window, shattering it into a tumbling mass of safety glass pieces, covering the inside seat and floor of his car. I then walked to the front of the car and swung again at the windshield, and although I wasn't able to break it after a couple of strikes, I did fill it up with cracks and dings, as if the car had been pummeled by hail chunks for the size of golf balls. I decided as long as I was up front, I would smash out the headlights too, and that gave me a great deal of satisfaction. I walked back to the driver's window and, laughing, I said, "I guess you might need a bit of work on your car." Then I grabbed the knife out of my back pocket and quickly leaned into the car and put the knife on his neck against his jugular vein. In my most intimidating voice, I hissed, "How many times did you be intimate with my wife as you tried to convince her that I would allow this to happen?" I could see the fear in his eyes as he stuttered. "Just twice over the last few weeks. It didn't mean anything. It was just physical for both her and me. Just let me walk away and you'll never see me again." I looked at him like he was some pathetic form of scum and said, "I am not going to kill you, at least not right now. But if I hear anything from the police or if I get any other issues coming my way about our little talk today, then I'll be back to find you. If you go to the police, I'll likely go to jail. Maybe I'll get bail, maybe not. Maybe I'll do some time, maybe not. Regardless, at some point in your future, I'll find you. Maybe in a parking lot walking to your car. Maybe in the elevator at work. I'll find you and I'll slit your throat and spit on your face as I watch you die. It's your choice. This can be the last time you ever see me, or you can be watching over your shoulder for the next week, month, year, until the time to end you is right." With that, I leaned over him, stuck the knife into the passenger seat, and said, "Your friend Molly is going to need this to cut you free so you can drive her away. Or maybe she'll be driving you to the ER. Whatever. Just make sure you get her out of my sight." I walked into the house, and when Molly heard the front door close, she yelled down from the bedroom, "Is that you, Ralph? Come up her and be with your friend. Did you get everything worked out with Jack?" My first thought was, what an incredible fool. Who was this woman? I replied, "Molly, Ralph is still out in his car. He wants you to come out and talk to him. I think he might be having second thoughts." A minute later, Molly came down, no doubt wearing lingerie I had bought her underneath the robe she had thrown on. "What happened, Jack? Did you assure him things were okay?" "Molly, I assured him what his future entailed depending on his course of action. You should probably step out and talk to him." She gave me a look of confusion and said, "Jack, please remember I love you and this will make us strong." "Sure, Molly. I already feel stronger." She smiled and walked out the front door, and I immediately locked it behind her. I walked to the garage and pushed the lockout for the garage door opener, and it was when I was walking upstairs that I heard her screams. "What have you done? Jack, you come out here this instant and fix this." I ignored her request, went up to the bedroom, and pulled out one of our carry-on suitcases. I grabbed a good fistful of clothes out of her underwear, bra, and socks drawer. I pulled some t-shirts, jeans, and sweaters out of her closet and put them in the suitcase, and then went into the master bath and threw into the suitcase as many of her cosmetics, combs, brushes, and perfume as I could fit. I went back to the closet and grabbed a pair of her tennis shoes, too. I walked to the spare bedroom in the front of the house, opened the window, and yelled out, "Molly, here! You might need this," tossing the suitcase out onto the driveway. I could only hope some of the perfume bottles had broken. But whatever. Not my problem. I then hurled the tennis shoes, taking aim at her head, but she managed to duck both of my throws. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes and said, "Jack, please, what are you doing?" I was sure this was something you wanted. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to make you mad or hurt you. I can't believe how cruel and vicious you have been to Ralph. For God's sake, he is my boss. Please, Jack, let me in, and we can talk our way through this." I looked at her and said, "Molly, I can't even begin to tell you how ridiculous you've sounded since you came home with your little ploy to turn me into your passive observer. I'm wondering if you had a stroke, or are on drugs, or maybe I just never knew how shallow and pathetic you really are. Whatever, it doesn't matter at this point. I want you to get out of here. You should probably drive your friend to the hospital, but on the way, make sure to ask him about what happens if one word of today's actions comes back on me from the police or anyone else. I'll get the rest of your stuff packed into bags and you can tell me where to drop it off, but don't you dare come back to this house ever again." With that, I slammed down the window, went back downstairs, opened the front door, and threw her purse at her head, this time at least catching her in the chest. Before I slammed the door, I couldn't resist adding, "Was that epic enough for you, Molly?" I locked the door and walked to the kitchen to open my second beer of the day. I realized I needed to talk to my lawyer right away, just in case the police showed up. I also needed a reference for a good divorce attorney. I went to the front window and saw Ralph yelling and cussing at Molly as she cut the zip ties off. She put her suitcase into the trunk. He got out and moved into the back seat and lied down, and she got in the car, sobbing and looking like she was in shock as she put it into reverse and backed out of the driveway. As the adrenaline in my system settled out and I started to relax, I was totally blown away by what had happened, how my wife had gone off the rails so badly. I was amazed and somewhat scared at what I had done in a fit of anger to her boss. I was way too close to actually slitting his throat, and now understand that she just isn't worth it. I laughed when I thought about the line of nonsense he fed her about being the alpha and me being the beta. Being a nice, easygoing guy and letting your wife have the final word on the benign decisions was done out of love and a quest for a happy wife, a happy life marriage. But she should have never misunderstood kindness for being a submissive beta personality that would let her observe me with a dumb person like Ralph. Wow, I never saw that coming. Molly stayed away from the house for the next several days. I kept getting calls from unknown cell phones and assumed they were Molly's since I had confiscated hers. Finally, she left a voicemail, pleading for me to return a call to her on that number so we could talk this through. I knew that it was only a matter of time until I had to face her, and given that no police had shown up to put me in handcuffs, I thought I had dodged one bullet, and now I should finish this fiasco. I called Molly and told her to be over in 1 hour and we could talk. I hung up, finished packing up everything in the house that I thought was hers, and sat on the front steps waiting for her. Molly pulled up in her car, which she had evidently retrieved from work. I didn't know if she had been staying with Ralph, her parents or friends, or in a motel, and I was a bit surprised at myself for not really caring where she had been. She hopped out of the car and gave me a tentative wave before walking over to sit down on the front steps with me. Her face conveyed a myriad of emotions, including a bit of regret, shame, guilt, and apprehension. Her face looked puffy and blotted, indicating to me that she had been crying a lot and getting very little sleep. She sheepishly looked over at me and said, "Jack, I am so sorry for what I did. I don't know how I let Ralph talk me into approaching you about me being intimate with him and you being submissive and liking it. I have thought back over the last few weeks and don't understand how I fell for his whole line of nonsense. I guess it was his dominance and insistence on how this would be so good for us, and how I would have the best experience of my life, both with him and with you after him. I think about it now, and you must think I went crazy, and I guess I was for a little while there. But Jack, I'm back now, and I love you and want only you. I beg you to forgive me, and I promise that I'll be the best wife you could ever have and spend my life making it up to you." "So, Molly, how was Ralph in the bedroom? Did you have the fantastic experiences that you apparently were dreaming of? Did his massive anatomy—" "Stop, Jack. I never touched him after that. And he is so afraid of the things you said that he fired me and doesn't want to come near me. Besides, he was in the hospital for 2 nights after what you did to him. He made up a story of a mugging on the way to the hospital, and we both stuck to the story so you would be off the hook." "Well, at least he got one thing right. What do you want, Molly?"
"Jack, I want you. I want to come home and be your wife for the rest of our lives. I want you to forgive me. I'll do anything to make it up to you. We can work through this and be better than ever, Jack. I have decided that you are the only one I can ever love, and I need you to forgive me. What do you say, Jack? Can I please come home?"
"Molly, I've done a lot of thinking, and this is where I'm at. You and I were in love for 2 years and married for 3. Now, after only 5 years, you were evidently already bored with our lives, or at least our intimate life, and looking for more. You may think you love me, and maybe you do, but you sure as heck don't respect me. There is no way that you would think of me as some sort of submissive beta male who would willing to let you be with your boss and have me clean up after him if you had any idea of what love or respect really is. Besides, Molly, you did cheat on me. Ralph told me you were with him at least a few times over the preceding weeks as he was talking you into this alpha-beta male nonsense. Your desires overtook your vows and the promises you made to me, and again, that is after only 5 years. What happens at 7, 10, 15, or 20 years? How many times will you get bored and break those vows?"
"Jack, I would never do that to you."
"You already have, Molly, so don't say never." "No, I've given it a lot of thought. We don't have kids, don't have much in the way of savings, and our only real asset is the house, which has very little equity in it. I've decided, Molly, that the risk of staying with you is far greater than the benefit of staying with you. I truly believe it will only be a matter of time before you rationalize an affair, and based on how it went with Ralph, this time you will just go behind my back. I have no trust in you anymore, and even worse, I have lost my respect for you. I can't be with someone who doesn't respect me and who I no longer respect." Molly had started tearing up as I was explaining my decision, and she was now sobbing as I told her we were finished. "Molly, we are getting divorced. You keep your car, I'll keep mine. We can split the savings, sell the house, and both walk away. We're both still young, and I'm hoping to start again with someone who will love me and respect me for who I am. I've already got a lawyer started on the divorce, so we can do this amicably, or you can and probably should get your own lawyer. Now, let's load up your car with your stuff and you can drive off and be with as many big alpha males as you desire. I'll start moving out next week so we can get the house on the market."
"No, Jack, no. You have to forgive me. I need you. I love you. I do respect you. It was only a mistake that I was conned into. You have to forgive me."
"Molly, I'm sorry. I've said everything there is to say. Now it's time to move on with our lives. And should our paths cross in the future, let's just have the grace to say hi, but keep walking by, and I hope you find whatever it was that you were looking for." With that, I started to load her possessions into her car, and when we were finished, I just looked at her, said goodbye, walked into the house, and closed the door on our marriage. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.